Hey, hi everybody, my name is Flask and I'm a volunteer with the Girl Scouts of the Green and White Mountains, serving Girl Scouts in Vermont and New Hampshire. Today I'm coming to you from the Preston Pond Conservation Area, which is a forest in the town of Bolton, Vermont. And I'm going to teach you how to tie a bowline, which is one of the most massively useful knots you can learn how to tie. Bowline is a great knot to use if you want a fixed loop at the end of a rope. And by fixed loop I mean it's closed, it's attached to itself, and it doesn't come loose. So let's get into it. So the traditional way they teach this knot is one where you're going to have the loop coming toward you when you're done. And they teach you to make a loop. And the way the saying goes is that the working end represents a rabbit. And it comes up out of its hole, it goes around the tree and back into the hole. And there's your bowline. It's a nice strong closed loop. It won't come undone from pulling. It will come undone if this little end gets messed with a lot. But it comes undone pretty easily even if it's been under load and even if it's been wet, which is really important in sailing. You just break its back there and loosen that loop, and the whole thing comes undone. So the mechanics of it are pretty simple. Think of it as we're going to keep going in circles this way. So we're going to take the working part and we're going to make a loop, going in a circle that way. And you want to think how long you want this part to be, because your knot's going to be here and your loop is going to be however big that is. So if you want it to be longer, you make it up farther. And then still going this direction, you're going to come up underneath and then around, and still going this direction, back down through. And then you're going to grab onto both of these parts here and pull them against the standing end. And there's your bowline. It's a nice strong loop. A proper bowline has the tail coming down in the center, but you can tie it backwards so the tail comes down on this side. And which way the tail goes is only important if you're using it in an application where this part is going to rub against other things. Because if this part rubs against a lot of things, the knot can be broken and come undone. So whichever way is going to get more rub is the way you don't put the tail, but usually it goes on the inside. One way to do it is if you make an overhand knot and then you pinch it right there and flip the whole thing up. You get your loop and you get your working end through the loop, and then you just finish the knot by putting it in. And that's a nice easy way to do it. I'm going to do that so you can see it again. I'm going to tie an overhand knot, which you remember is a foundational knot. And then I'm going to pinch it here and just flip it. And then I get my loop going the correct direction. And I can come around and reeve it through. And you got to hold on to these two pieces and pull that collar tight. That's what holds this knot together. Is this loop tightens on this collar, and the collar pulls the standing end tight. And then you can put a lot of weight on that. So now let's talk about a running bowline. Because sometimes you want to tie your knot here and then have your knot end up there. And you want to tie it around your rope. So you just cross it over and then you ignore this crossing. Doesn't matter. It's not part of what you're doing now. And then you just continue. You make an overhand knot. You grab it here and flip it up. And then continue this around. And now what you've done, when you grab those two pieces and pull tight, now you've tied your bowline around itself so that you can run it right on up. And maybe you haven't seen this problem coming yet, but if you do this and you're running bowline, you're not going to be able to get that back somewhere. You're not going to be able to get that back. Recommend that you tie a throw line to this part. Recommend that you tie a throw line to this part and get your rope back. So you can just pull on that and get your rope back. But that's how that works. Supposing I want to tie this around. Put it around. Make an overhand knot. I'm just going to keep pulling this overhand knot down, and I'm just going to keep pulling this overhand knot down, and the rope's going to flip over. And when it does, back that way, and the rope's going to flip over. It makes that, and then all I have to do, is bring it around and through, and there's my bowline. Here's also a fun way to do it. I'm going to make a loop. I'm going to fold it over on itself. And you don't want it to be very tight. And then I'm going to pull a bite through the loop. And then I'm going to take the working end and I'm just going to put it right through that bite. And I'm going to hold it against itself. And then I'm going to pull the whole thing. And what it's going to do is it's going to yank these two bits through that collar. And it makes a bowline. Isn't that fantastic? It's so quick and easy. I'm going to show you how to do that again. I'm going to make a loop. I'm going to fold it across itself. I'm going to pull this bite through. And then I'm going to take this other end and just stick it through. Hold the two ends close to each other, and I'm going to pull on the standing end. And there's my bowline. Crazy, right? Hey, so I don't have a lot of time to talk to you right now, and I can't tell you where or when I am, but I can tell you that time travel is dangerous. It has unintended consequences. We thought we could do it safely. We thought we could clean up any messes we made along the way, but it turns out we can't. We could get almost all the things cleaned up, except we could not stop 2024 Flask from meeting with 1981 Flask. It happened somewhere between the dining hall and Yolashan on September 21st, 2024. You have to find the letter. You have to find the letter that tells 1981 Flask you have to find the letter that tells 1981 Flask and 2024 Flask where to meet each other at what time. Destroy the letter, scatter its ashes, and hope for the best. You have to keep it from happening. And I'm going to pull on the standing end. And there's my bowline. Crazy, right? But Flask, you may be asking. What if I need to tie a bowline and I only have one hand available to do it? Can I do that? Why, yes, my friend, you can. You're going to take your rope, leave a little bit to dangle around the end, and you're going to put it around yourself. And you're going to grab onto that end. So now you're holding it between your thumb and your finger, but the rest of your hand is around the other part of the rope. And then you're going to do this thing with your hand. You're going to do this all up through. You're going to bring it up through this space from the bottom. So up and around, and at the same time you're going to present that end, the tail end, through. So now what you've done is you've made a loop around your hand, and the tail end is coming through. Excellent. So then you're just going to take that tail, put it around your standing end. You have to do some finger stuff to do that. Bring it out through the loop. Grab onto this part that was over your shoulder. And maybe now's a good time to put it all around your shoulder. And then you can stand on the other end and pull the whole thing tight. And when you've done that, you have a bowline. I'm going to do that all in one move so you can see how that works. I'm going to put it around myself, grab it, flip it underneath, and I'm going to use my fingers to work that around.
You have to
Pull
find
the tail
the
back
letter.
through my loop,
Find the letter.
grab onto this part together, step on the free hand.
1981 Flask and 2024 Flask. Where to meet each other.
And then I can use my bowline for myself or to help someone else. So that's it for me today. I hope you've had a good time. I hope you've learned something. And remember, if you don't get these knots right away, keep tying.